In the meantime, stocks are up. They are liking this talk of a big tax cut that could come this way and be spelled out by tomorrow at this time. At this hour, the Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, is meeting with President Trump. The Freedom Caucus member, Dave Brat, on whether that optimism in the markets is justified. Congressman, the feeling seems to be that you're going to get a tax deal, and the president is saying you don't need to pay for these tax cuts. Just make them big. Do you agree with that?
It depends on the nature of the tax cut. But, yeah, if you go back to the Reagan cut or the JFK tax cut, when you get 5% real growth like JFK got for a decade out, you don't have to pay for it in the short term if you do it the right way. I was just on the phone yesterday with the famous economist at Harvard, Robert Barrow, and if we do the broad-based tax deepening on the individual side and then a steep corporate rate reduction, most economists are pretty favorable that will deliver the growth to get it right. And so it all depends what tax plan. We have the House plan, and then we have the Mnuchin plan, and they'll be debating the border adjustable piece. And then you got some of the Wall Street Journal guys, Stephen Moore and Art Laffer and Kudlow and Forbes, writing a Wall Street Journal op-ed last week saying just do the corporate piece because of the politics. So we got three major groups vying for how we're going to go down the road.
But you personally, Congressman, could live with something that at least near term isn't paid for. In other words, it takes a while to bring in the revenues from tax cuts. So if it makes deficits worse in the interim, before you get those revenues coming in, you could live with that.
Yeah, I can live with it because economists, we don't like this paid-for concept in the first place, right? When you do tax cuts, it's not like that's a cost, and we've kind of entered the CBO, Washington, D.C. swamp language. The left, unfortunately, just all they do is call names. They call us privileged, et cetera. If the left was more pro-market, pro-economic growth, pro-entrepreneurial, and creating jobs and creating wealth, they wouldn't have to lob bombs about, us giving tax breaks to the wealthy, right? We want the left to be privileged, too, but they don't want to go to work and do the hard work, right? They don't want to start a firm, take the risk, et cetera. And so I want the left to be privileged. I want every person in this country to be privileged. And so we got to get out of this crazy language up here. Tax cuts are going to stimulate business. Immediate expensing is going to stimulate business to start jobs. It'll give people more income in their pocket. It'll get more employment for everybody.
For everybody? I mean, we had David Stockman here saying that you guys are out of your minds, that this will deny Washington, whether it's spending or not, trillions of dollars in revenue over the next decade, and you're going to be scrambling to pay for the basic essential services of government. What do you say to that?
What I say to that is after JFK, it worked. After Reagan, it worked. After Obama, we're in the ditch.
Well, after JFK, you could argue, right, Congressman, that a lot of that was Vietnam War spending and the catalyst that had, not, in a perverse way, right?
Yeah, you could, but there's studies out there, and all I got to say is when we did tax cuts, it worked. And so doing the progressive route where all you do is government spending, we're spending $4 trillion, bringing in about $3.5 trillion. So last year we had a $600 billion deficit and 2% growth for 8 years in a row. Right? And so I don't see any leftist ideas at all. Right? All they engage in name-calling right now. We have good ideas that have worked in the past. It's worth a shot because the current system sure isn't working. And what's missing is we need to teach all.
Are these views shared by the groups like the Freedom Caucus and some of these others?
Oh, there'll be some differences. I mean,
But enough to put this tax cut proposal at risk, or no?
No. I don't think so. I think folks are willing to give the president. He's learning the D.C. ropes right now, right, on this budget shutdown stuff. The press sets the narrative about $1 billion. I mean, it's just almost sad. Right, a $4 trillion budget, and the press sets in there about $1 billion in the wall. We have all three, branches of government, all the leverage of $4 trillion, and in the end, because of the ways of Washington, the Dems and 8 senators in the Senate are blocking a $4 trillion budget. And so they're willing to use this shutdown rigmarole. And so I think the American people are learning, right? The left has no ideas. What's Bernie's ideas? Just spend more on everything. What's Elizabeth Warren's idea on taxes? How does she stimulate the economy? The left always says, let's promote education, let's grow the economy. How do you do it? Right? It's not enough to say, let's do it. I want to know, what's your plan to do it? We have plans on paper, and I think they're sound. They've worked in history, and we got to get, and you see, right? I mean, the signal you just mentioned, Wall Street is spiking over the past month. So the expectations are already up. There is evidence.
They love money. They just love money.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Everybody does. The left does too. They just want other people's money. So let's go earn it and make everybody rich.
Congressman, great catching up with you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Neil. You bet.